We had all good friends, and I'm rich. I'm really rich, not money-wise, but friends. All my friends are really good to me. They're really good to me. My name is Shizue. Shizue means quiet leaves. Shizu is shizukana, and e is leaves, eda. I was very quiet when I was young, but after camp, I got really outward and socialize. And until then, I didn't know how to socialize. When I had a visitor, I'd hide in the bedroom. So I really, Nobi Nagara, she lived in the next block. She was really outward and friendly, and she came from Irvine, so she got me out of the shell and playing ball and talking too much. My brother Frank was born in I don't remember all the dates, but he was born April 30th, 1924. I was born May the 28th, 1925. And Takashi was born the next year. Auntie Kay came first. And then I think it's Shoso and Masako and Henry and Suemi and Michan. Nobody could even say Shizue, so they used to call me Chapsui. Chapsui. So then we all changed our name. All of us, we changed our own name. It's not in the birth certificate. I'm May. Frank is Yoshiharu. Frank. And then I'm Shizue May. And then Kyoko went as Kay. And Moss went as Mary. And Suemi was Sue. And Michan is Mitzi. We all went by Japanese and we gave it to ourselves. So nobody could say our name. Well, I was real happy because I was only 16 and I didn't have to work anymore in the strawberry fields. So I was real happy, but it was really bad because, we're all American citizens and we got put in there and all of our friends wondered where we disappeared to because I never wrote to them or nothing after that. So, but anyhow, for me, I didn't have to go out in the field every day working, and I was able to play ball. We eat. We don't have to do the dishes because we were eating in the mess hall. So then we go home and put my tennis shoes on and go play basketball or baseball. We had a good baseball team. Our baseball team was good, so we got invited out to Phoenix, Arizona for about 4 or 5 days. We stayed at the Y, and they partied us every day, so we lost every day. Yeah, we lost every game. The pitcher couldn't see straight, I don't think. Everywhere I go, I have fun. I make it fun. Well, all my childhood, I worked on the strawberries day in and day out, cutting runners, cutting weeds. But then when I went to camp, I was a waitress, worked in the office, and then I worked in the paper. And after I came out and then worked in the grapes, oh, that was rough. Oh. And one night, my dad says, "Why don't you go to LA and find a job?" So I was just hurting so much I could barely walk. When I said, "You really mean it? You really mean this?" So when he says, "Yeah, go to LA and find a job," so I packed that night and I took the 12 midnight train. And those trains had just steps like this. You had to climb up like a ladder. And then I left Fresno at 12 and I got to LA at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I didn't want to wake up my brother. My brother was already married and he lived on West First Street. So I walked from Union Station to West First and climbed up the fire escape, and he was living on the second floor, so I knocked at the window for the second floor, and he opened the door for me. I didn't. If the police came by, he would have probably jailed me. But with my aching body, I just can't figure out how I did it. In LA, the first job I went is a K-pop factory. It was all that cotton that they stuffed toys with. It was so dusty and dirty that my hay fever really acted up, so I had to quit that. And then I went to a balloon factory where these little tiny balloons, you have to test them so they don't blow up. And pow, pow, it was blowing up. It wasn't good for my ears. So then I went to a sewing factory, electric sewing machine that I've never used before. It goes fast. But I was sewing those real fancy cowboy shirts with the fancy cuffs like this, And I was sewing the cuffs right here. They're pretty good. I lasted pretty long there until I came home. I met him at the farmer's market. I was going to beauty school, and we went out to look for fruit to eat. And he was walking around wondering what his mom wanted him to buy, so he just roaming around all over, but he never found out what she wanted. But anyhow, I was introduced to him from Kimi Nino. She's from Madeira. I guess she must have known him. And they introduced me, but then that was it. And then I didn't go wrong with them. But then later on at the Follow YBA dance, they're introducing me to him again, and I said, "I met you the other day at the farmer's market." He didn't even remember. But anyhow, I went together with him for, I don't know how long. I used to pick boysenberries for him over here, and I used to work for him, so I got to know him. And then we were in the Follow YBA, so I knew him, and he started taking me. Well, I went out with Tommy Mukai first. But I guess he thought, well, I better ask her out, or otherwise he's going to take her. I never went out with Tom after that, but he took me to the hard tops and all the car races, all the sports thing. But I enjoyed it. Fishing. Yeah, so we had a good old time. Well, anyhow, he didn't propose. I don't know what. We just decided to get married or something. I don't know. I don't even remember him proposing to me. Isn't that funny? I don't know how. I don't even remember when he proposed to me. I stayed with him for 8 years after I got married, and then we bought our Selma ranch. And then when Gary came home and says, "I'm getting married," and says, "Oh, you can't get married now. Our house, it was leaning, and if you drop a marble, it rolled to one corner, and we couldn't even close the door." Those days, and it was 2 stories, and the kids had to sleep upstairs. So winter it gets so cold that we made them sleep downstairs. And anyhow, so I said, "You can't get married. We have to hurry up and build another house." So we built a new house. I think we finished it in May, and I think Gary got married in June. Barely finished. At least we could invite the relatives over, huh? But that other house, it was just too cold in the winter, too hot in the summer. But it was 2 stories, so it wasn't too bad. But the poor kids, man, I tell you. One Christmas that was really funny. We had everything stored in the garage, and it's ice cold then. We brought the bicycles, all the kids had bicycles, and we put it in the house, and the house was so cold that we put the heater on just in the living room so that the living room would be warm when they get up. And all the tires blew up. So at Christmas morning, they couldn't even ride their bicycle. That's how cold. The poor kids couldn't even ride their bicycle. Gary's the oldest, and Stanley, I think 2 years later, or 2.5 years later, Stanley was born, and then Greg was born. They're all about 3 years apart. Greg was born, and then 6 years later, I had Terry. I thought it'd be a girl, but it still was a boy. I had Gary's name picked out as Karen Sue, and he marries a Karen. And then Stanley was still Karen Sue, but it still was a boy. And then Greg was supposed to be Colleen. I was going to change the name, but then he never was a Colleen. And then finally I had Terry, and I said T-E-R-I or T-E-R-R-Y. So it was T-E-R-R-Y. It was really funny because we were picking boysenberries here, and all the workers had their cars parked. What was it when we were packing peaches? But anyhow, all the cars are parked on the road there, and Gary's sitting in there eating away, eating their tortillas. I gave him heck, so, Mommy, but this is good. So they're eating the bento, but that was leftovers. So that lady said, "No, it's right. Let him eat it." He was sitting there eating tortillas. I tell you, cause see, we're not watching them. They just grew up themselves. Cause we used to just leave them alone. Yeah. So if it's now, boy, they would have put us in jail, huh? We used to lock them up in the house. When they were babies, we had a crib in Bachan's room and a crib in our room, and whatever. See, we worked together with Aki and Mickey all the time because, see, we did all the work ourselves, see. And so we went from ranch to ranch, see. And when they were little, we put them in one crib in mine and one crib in Bachan's place, and we just come home every 3 hours and change the diaper and throw a bottle in their mouth, and we used to go out in the field, lock the door. That was scary, actually. But we used to lock the doors and go out in the field. When they got bigger, we took them out on the playpen. They all played in there. But those kids are really like brothers. They're really close. He was supposed to be born in September, and Greg was supposed to be born in October, but it went the other way around because Greg was premature when I was rolling trays. I was rolling trays at 8 months now. See how big it was? And I was rolling trays on that dirt. Think about now, it's crazy. But I enjoyed the kid. The best time of my life is when the kids were growing up, and I belonged to the PTA, and we did everything with the kids. That's the best time of your life. When they're in school, you were busy. They played ball. All of my kids played ball. We had 4-H, and Gary was a Boy Scout, and we were really busy, but I think that was the best time of our life. Yeah, I was teaching 4-H over there, and I didn't know anything, so I knew sewing because Mrs. Komaki taught me sewing. I took sewing class in camp, so I thought, well, I'll teach the girls sewing. And the girls are so interested in the boys, they're just looking out the window, don't do their work. So I says, gee, this isn't going to work out. So I quit sewing. I think I just did it for 1 year. And I went to some high night school and learned woodworking and electricity. At least I know how the boards should meet. But the things that we made were strong. Boy, I think they still have the stool, and I made a tool holder and in 4-H. And there's one of the boys that were my students in Boulder and said, you know what, that woodworking class, I learned a lot. So he does a lot of that. He likes that. He lives right near my friends, so I see him once in a while. We traveled every year, usually 7 or 10 days. We went on the bus or the airplane, but we've seen Florida, New York, Canada. We went to Branson. We went Panama Canal. Before camp, never been out of California, never went vacation. Makut used to go to San Simeon and stay there for a week every summer, but I don't know what a vacation is. We used to have Grape Day in Escondido, and they used to give us $1, all of us. And with that $1, I used to ride on every ride at the fair. It's 10 cents a ride, so I could ride on 10. My brother used to eat all of that $10. He used to eat everything. But that was the only thing. And then 4th of July, we used to go to Oceanside and watch the fireworks. And that's when they give us money too. But we never had a vacation. So Makut and them used to go to San Simeon and camp out with their friends for a whole week when Bachan and them were younger. So. And then afterwards, after I got married, and after Greg got older, he used to give us a 1-week vacation at Oxnard. And we stayed there a whole week for, our vacation from Saturday to Sunday. And we go fishing every day. I know how the fishing was from Point Hueneme to Oxnard to Santa Barbara, Ventura. I tell you, those days we used to catch a lot of mackerel, so we would go on a Friday all day to Santa Barbara to see how the fish is biting. And then next day, Saturday, on the way home, we stop over there and catch 2 buckets full of mackerel. We clean it all, stuff it in ice, and then drop it off to every family in Selma and Fowler. But we went fishing. There's one day he told me that you could do anything you want today. And so I said, oh, good. So I was washing the dishes and so, but he's looking at the paper. And on the paper it says, Lake Casitas biting. So here I go. I had to make onigiri, make bento, and we went to Lake Casitas and we rented a boat. And there's a lot of bass fishermen. Bass fishermen, they just sit there, see. And so, watch now, we're going to give them a big show. So we were trolling. See, we troll for trout, so we were trolling. And so watch now, when I turn right there in front of those guys, I'm going to catch a big one. And sure enough, he got a big one, and that thing flew out of the water. And he says, boy, that was the thrill of his life, I think. All those bass fishermen staring at us, That bass fishing is boring because you just sit there. But when you're trolling, your jig is always moving, so you have to, I never put it down. He used to just put it down, and if it bites, he picks it up. But I had to find that, just hold on to it so I know when they start tugging at it. I got to be a pretty good fisherman. I think I used to catch more fish than. One time when we had the boysenberries and there's a pheasant in the field, so I said, I'm gonna get that one, and he comes home and gets a gun. He almost on top of the bird, and he still didn't hit it. Took off. That was funny. We get each other somehow. We had fun all the time. We always worked together. Played together. Yeah, we did everything together. So I don't have no regrets. I don't even feel lonely because I think he's still here. He's still here. So I never did get lonely. People say, how come you live by yourself? I said, nothing bothers me. Because I don't have I did everything. I played and worked and everything together. We fished together. So I don't have no regrets. I don't even get lonely. I think of him, but then, Well, I enjoy all my grandkids, so that's all I can say. You know how grandma is, they love their grandkids. Yeah, so I enjoy all my grandkids.
Kyle, look at this.
Kyle, look behind you. Oh, that's easy if they fall off.
What are they?
Ellie has fish.
Ellie also caught some seaweed.
Yay, Ellie.
Ellie caught tiny fish. He's a tiny fish. Ellie caught a bluefish.
Good job, Ellie.
Without my lover, I'm in this boat alone, floating down a river named Emotion. Will I make it back to shore or drift into the unknown? Transmissions will be sent when I am through. Maybe we could meet again further down the river and share what we both discovered, then revel in the view.
always keep a tea kettle of water on the stove, always. That's what my mother-in-law said. But then, I mean, not with the fire on, but then keep a clean water. Because when we were tearing down our old house over here, I looked in the window like this, and there was a fire in the house. So I just went to the kitchen and got the tea kettle and just put the fire out. And my cousin was running around outside looking for a bucket, and they had watermelon seeds in there. And he's bringing it. Don't put that. I would have had a mess cleaning that watermelon seeds. But I just got that tea kettle and just put the fire out. Do things together and just enjoy every minute of your life, because otherwise, after they die, he says, oh, we should have done this. Oh, he wanted to go here and I don't want to go. And then you have regrets, but I don't have no regrets because we did everything together, play and work. And so whatever you do, just enjoy life. Enjoy every minute of your life. So you just be happy that way. Be happy. That's the main thing. So your family is the dearest. You can't. I just love my family. So, you know, when we have these family gatherings on Sunday, that's the best thing. You see, they started doing that when my cook got sick. They kept doing it. And I think, don't you enjoy it? I really enjoy it. Because, see, before, I didn't even know what the kids were doing. Because we never hardly used to see them, unless it's a holiday or something. But after my cook got sick, they used to come over and bring lunch and dinner. And so, I tell you, I have a good family. I'm proud of them. Yeah. I enjoy every minute of my life. You have to make it enjoyable, you know.